Yesterday, I saw a highly disappointing movie called Apostle. Probably, this one is the worst horror movie I've ever seen. It just doesn't scare you, and the characters in the movie are just so below par that it is just very sad. Why this movie has the horror tag? It's hard to understand, but it absolutely does not deserve it at least. The largest problem with this movie is the fact that it is more a creepy mood kind of movie. So of course, if that's your thing, that is not a problem. What I find interesting in horror movies though is that you actually have scary scenes, and it's not the mood itself that is the only scary part. Movies like The Ritual and the horror thrillers Stay Alive manage to do that in a much better way than in this movie, because a lot of what happens in those movies are actually very scary. The same cannot be said about this movie, where the pacing is also extremely slow. I really suffered when watching this movie, and in a movie that lasted about 2 hours, it actually took 41 minutes for something interesting to happen. When a guy makes an uproar in the middle of the church speech, the cult like people in this movie are supposed to be menacing, and although some may be better characters than others, they are just not scary enough. I don't fear them in any way possible, and even a blind mouse would have been scarier. It is also very strange when that is supposed to be the feature that should make this movie scary, that this cult just seems very strange and not scary at all. Probably the only little scary thing about them is that zombie woman they feed blood to have pure harvest. Perhaps that is also the only reason that this is called a horror movie, because although she is talked about, she does not appear until very late in the movie. Perhaps that might have been an interesting development if you had introduced that zombie woman earlier in the movie and not talked about her over an hour before her introduction. When you see from the pictures, and there is this religious cult, they seem way more interesting and they actually are portrayed in the movie. In The Ritual, the cult is way more menacing and you actually fear them. Okay, it may not be as comparable because they are witches, but at least then you feel a scary excitement inside you when watching them. The same can absolutely not be said in this movie, and that's just another reason that it is the worst horror movie I have ever seen.